Guys, today we'll talk about the worst villains in all of movies, all of TV, all of games. Worst villains overall. So this could be from any game, any movie, any TV show, any anime. It's all fair game. And there are some villains that are supposed to be hateable, but I don't really care for the show, or I don't really have fond memories of said show. So, for example, certain characters from Game of Thrones, because I don't really care with Game of Thrones anymore. Game of Thrones didn't really leave a lasting impact on me as of other series. And there are some characters that I hate that will not be on this list because they're not really villains. So characters like Rossetti, Bubsy, Ichigo, Caillou, and of course Franklin will all not be on this list because they're not really antagonists. And actually protagonists, even though Caillou sucks anyways. But like for example, Ichigo is a second, not a second, I think a secondary or a side protagonist, and Bubsy's main character protagonist. And Rossetti, he just bitches and yells at you. So we'll be talking about the top 10 worst villains. Number 10, 303 Guilty Spark. He is the main villain, or one of the major villains of Halo 3 besides the Covenant. He is basically a villain in the first but he is one of those twist villains, of course. At the end, this is the spoilers for everything on this list, but 303 Guilty Spark is basically, a backstabber. And he also killed Sergeant Johnson, and his boss fight is very infuriating to fight. The fact that he has been helping you throughout all of the Halo games, and also let's not forget we can't forgive him for making the library as infuriating as it is. And then there's the fact that he basically backstabbed you and basically wanted to kill you so his plan would succeed, which was completely a stupid plan. He basically didn't want the thing to be, he didn't want the area to be destroyed, and he basically just killed Sergeant Johnson, and he almost killed you, and if you're playing multiplayer, the Armator as well. So if he won, he succeeded, he'll been responsible for the deaths of 3 major characters. Of course, if he died in the game, but you'll respawn and beat him anyways. Number 9 is Mr. Jefferson from Life is Strange. Some of these villains I'm gonna be less angry at than others, but Mr. Jefferson, we're gonna start getting more angry at these guys. Mr. Jefferson is another twist villain, of course, like people with Guilty Spark before him. Mr. Jefferson in Chapter 4 of Life is Strange literally kidnaps you because you found out the secret that he was the one who killed Rachel and almost tried to kill Kate, and of course, next on his list, he wanted to kill Victoria. This was very infuriating because he was a person that was actually pretty kind. But again, just like a lot of people, there are people who act like they're very kind, but they are very evil and do things in the shadows. Mr. Jefferson is basically the Jeffrey Epstein of video games. He basically puts girls in a dark room to take pictures of them. Like this is just disturbing stuff. He isn't the last villain to do disturbing stuff to females. No, he will not be the last one. So, yeah, this guy is overall just a big creep. Number 8, Monika. Monika's defenders are basically stupid. She is basically the main antagonist of Doki Doki Literature Club. But again, Monitods don't seem to understand this. She is basically the main antagonist of the game, and what does she do? She kills 3 other women. Okay? Yes. But Monika's best girl. But she killed 3 other girls. Like some other antagonists, they're evil. But Monika will do anything to be with you. Okay, this is a girl that will basically go out of her way to kill other girls or delete them to be with you. Okay, and basically, yeah, I never really played the game Doki Doki, but considering that literally every YouTuber has spoiled the entire game online, I still hate Monika because Monika killed 3 other girls. And there's all these other theories. Monika has escaped. Well, I don't want Monika in the fucking real world game theory, okay? I want Monika contained in the fucking video game so she can't kill more girls. And then what if the person who was playing Doki Doki had a real life girlfriend? Oh, is Monika come out and kill her too? Yeah, Monika is worst girl besides Ichigo, which is not on the list because he's not a villain. And May, even though she is not a villain, because again, May is actually not an evil character. It's only the memes that make her evil. Number 7. You'll be surprised, but Professor Pester is only at 7. This man is, if you have played Viva Pinata before, you will know this man is very infuriating to deal with. This man will do anything to kill, he basically kills your pinatas. Of course, you don't actually die. But if you got a very rare pinata, and if you have no money, well, guess what? You have a couple of choices. Either rush to put it in, of course, a box so he can't distort, so he can't kill him, or you have to pay him off. Well, if you don't have enough money to do any of those, and you work like 4 or 5 days to get this very rare pinata, well, bye-bye goes the pinata. This motherfucker just killed it. Okay? This motherfucker doesn't care. Okay? And that's why Professor Pester is on this list. Well, it is I'll never, ever forgive him for the actions he has done to especially after all the hard work you have done. Just imagine making your own garden and you attracted this squirrel and there's some man comes with a club that kills it. That is basically Professor Pester. He doesn't give a shit. He only gives a shit about his goals, which is to ruin the fun for everybody. No, I'm glad that your only friends are a bunch of barbarians that really are not that good either. Number 6, Porky Vince. What has there been said about Porky Vince before? Porky Vince is the main villain of the Earthbound, actually the 3rd game. He was a secondary villain in the 2nd game. Porky Vince is basically a child that is basically immortal. So number 1, and people try to ask, what's the worst video game villain? Well, people always say, Jasper Bat Jr. is the worst video game villain, or Count Vega. Well, again, I never played No More Heroes, and I watched many of those lists, and it's kind of done to death already, why Jasper Bat Jr. is a bad character. The same thing with Count Vega. But Porky Vince, guess what? If you compare him to Jasper Bat Jr., both characters act alike. Yes, Porky Vince, of course, because it's a Game Boy Advance game, he doesn't speak, but Porky Vince is more evil than Jasper Bat Jr. Okay, Porky Vince kills, Lucas's father. He basically makes a guy torture a monkey. He also basically rules the entire island with a totalitarian rule that is basically on par with North Korea and Nazi Germany. He also kills his own citizens in cold blood. He also brainwashed Lucas's brother, so he has to fight his own brother. He also looks like a lot like that. He also is basically, I know he's supposed to be like a parallel to Darth Vader, but he basically brainwashed Lucas's brother, and all of the events in Mother 3 is his fault. And guess what? Since he's immortal, you don't kill him. He basically goes into absolutely safe castle, and even then he still mocks you from the absolutely safe castle, where he said, I won, your world will die, and you will all be dead, basically. And again, Porky Vince pilots float around for eternity until he finds another planet to conquer, and destroy, and run into the ground. Also, Porky Vince also experiments with life form creatures like the ultimate chimera, and basically experiments on animals creating abominations as well. I know real life humans also experiment animals, but nothing to the horrors that Porky Vince and his scientists do. And also on Earthbound, he also is under, but again, most of that game he was under the influence of Gygas. So all of his evil actions can really be done because of Gygas. But Porky Vince and but you would think that Porky Vince would turn to normal after Earthbound, but no, he's actually even worse than he was actually under the influence of Gygas. He was also a boss and, of course, Smash Bros. Substrate's emissary as well. Number 5. Oh, actually, did we skip a number? Number 10, number 9, number 8, number 7, number 6, number 5, number 4, number 3, number 1. We actually skipped the number. Okay, yeah, the real number 5. Okay, Porky's at number 6. Number 5, Watso. Watso! Oh, yeah, if there was one teddy bear I would want to burn, it would be Watso. Yes, they give him his whole backstory that he was abandoned and stuff to make you feel sympathy for him. But Watso is, yeah, nothing but a traitorous, backstabbing teddy bear. Okay? And he's supposed to be a bear like the Care Bear, so he's supposed to love he's supposed to love his own kid back. But of course, because he got abandoned, he turned evil. But even then, he could have still thought about, you know what? But first of all, he runs a daycare like how Porky Vince runs it. He runs it under a totalitarian dictatorship. He doesn't care about people. He doesn't care about the toys living there. He only cares about himself and his own power. He only cares about himself. Basically, he lets the toddlers treat the toys like garbage, and of course he doesn't care because he never felt where he got abandoned, so therefore all the other toys must die. And also his actions also lead to one of the most emotional scenes in the Toy Story series, where he basically backstabs all the other toys where they're about to die and be incinerated. This bear doesn't care, and even at the end, his minion, which is a baby, basically a baby doll, basically abandons him and basically gives him what he deserves at the very end. Watso, yeah, he has always been on my most hated characters list for a decade, and he's still on the list, which is no surprise. But if this list was made 10 years ago, number 1 and number 2 would have been the same 2 characters. Number 4, we have Vicky from Very Odd Parents. There are 2 antagonists in the whole series. There's Vicky and there's Crocker. Crocker's just your typical mean teacher who, yeah, we all dealt with a teacher like Crocker. But imagine having a babysitter that basically torments you and bullies you. Yep, Vicky is basically one of the most evil people in the world. If you thought Watso and Porky Vince was bad, well, Vicky basically is no different. They also even have her own future where Vicky rules the world, and it's basically even worse than how Porky Vince rules, Noel Island and Mother 3. Basically, Vicky is a twisted, cemented person that really needs to seek therapy right now, or needs to be thrown in Arkham Asylum with the rest of the lunatics from the Batman series. She is even more evil than the Joker, and the Joker is pretty crazy. She basically torments, bullies, and she basically finds her fun and tormenting a kid. Like, why? And let's not forget the real villains of Timmy's parents who keep hiring this insane lunatic because again, just like some other characters on the list, they pretend to be good, pretend like they're good people, but they're not good people. And she is one of the worst characters in all of fiction. And thank God that, I don't have to see her torturing Timmy any longer because I don't watch that show anymore because they stopped making episodes to it. It's just every time she's in the show, I'm like, oh yeah, oh great. She's gonna torture Timmy again. No wonder why Timmy has very odd parents. Because without them, Timmy would have been dead by then. Okay, he would have been long dead. And then, of course, he would have been arrested and thrown in jail, which he rightfully belongs. So, Vicky, I hope you burn in hell with Porky Vince. Oh, wait, Porky Vince can't die. Number 3, Sugo from Sword Art Online. We're back to, yes, this type of character. Sugo is one of the worst characters in all of fiction. Sugo, okay, I basically have to explain to you the worst part of Sword Art Online. The worst part of the whole show is basically the second half of the show. Well, this monster is the main villain. Okay, there are some characters in anime that are called monsters. Okay, for example, 02 from Down in the Franxx. But she is not a monster at all compared to this guy. This guy is it's kind of like in the Grinch. He has garlic in his soul, and he basically has a heart full of blackness and a soul full of darkness and blackness. A soul full of evil. So basically, in season 2, part 2 of Sword Art Online, not Sword Art Online 2 with, the Gun Gale arc of Sword Art Online. Talk about the Fairy Dance arc of Sword Art Online, part 2 of the original Sword Art Online. So, well, he traps a bunch of people who were already trapped in Sword Art Online to begin with. They can't escape because Sugo will allow them to. And Sugo basically keeps Asuna hostage and basically forces Kirito to go into the fairy video game to go and save her. And the last episode, well, Sugo practically tries to rape and grope Asuna. That's an actual scene in the show. And no wonder, thank God this man got sent behind bars, of course, unlike Vicky and Porky Vince and the other villains on this list, because this man deserves it. This man is a fucking pedophile. He basically was supposed to be an arranged marriage, but Asuna didn't want it, so he basically kidnapped her and basically raped her. It's just disgusting. Number 2, Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution. This fucking disgrace of Piccolo, of course, was going to be somewhere on this list. You would think, oh, because he is Piccolo still, he'll be at the bottom of this. Wrong! This is the fucking disgrace to Piccolo. Okay? First of all, Dragon Ball Evolution is a disgrace to Dragon Ball. It should not be called Dragon Ball. It should be called a pile of shit. And Piccolo is again, like everyone else, is one of the worst things about it. Piccolo is basically just your generic evil villain that wants to ruin mankind. Piccolo was a villain in the original Dragon Ball, but he was actually, he was supposed to be evil. He was a demon, okay? They set him up to be this evil. He had his own group of minions and everything. This is a bastardization of Piccolo. First of all, he just looks ugly. He doesn't look like Piccolo. He looks like something that they just threw together and said, oh look, that's Piccolo. And everybody knows this is a disgrace to Piccolo. Everybody knows, we all know Piccolo is one of the best Dragon Ball characters. And the fact that he did him this dirty just makes it even the worst. And King Piccolo was a pretty good villain, a pretty big threat, and he turned him into this monstrosity. And they even say it's Piccolo. Oh, Piccolo wants to get the Dragon Balls now to end the world. Yep, that's basically. He wants to create Ozaru, who is basically, of course, Goku. But in the original one, he wanted Eternal Youth, so they basically made a bastardization of Piccolo. He also uses Mai as his villain, even though, Mai is one of Emperor Pilar's villains. So, why did this bastardization of great villain exists? Okay, King Piccolo, and of course Piccolo is nothing like this. And they're going to make the actual redemption arc for Piccolo in the Dragon Ball Evolution sequels that they were supposed to make. But thank God I didn't get a sequel, because Dragon Ball Evolution was a pile of garbage. And Piccolo was thus reduced to a laughable, awful acted, and laughable dialogue with bad CGI and basically a bastardization of Piccolo. And yeah, he's number 2. So we're going over honorable mentions. Frost from Dragon Ball Super, Bio Broly, Chick Hicks, he was an antagonist from the first Cars movie. Manny from, of course, Die of a Wimpy Kid. Yeah. Even though he's not really, he's still an antagonist, because he just, that little shit has to be on the list. And, yeah. Oh, great. Waguro from Kill la Kill is one of them. One of the villains that almost made it on the list. Mr. Krabs. Yes, I know Mr. Krabs is not really an antagonist, but Creeper from Minecraft, Highness from Kirby. Yeah, I think we put him way too high on the most hated characters list. Dust Noir from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Baldi from Baldi's Basics. And yeah, there's some more honorable mentions I can talk about, but there's a lot. And of course, Prince Hans from Frozen, the Woolies from Bubsy, and let's not forget. And also Rui from Pikmin 2 and 3, Kaguya Otosuke. Okay, I can't pronounce the last name. Sorry about that. And yeah, those are the villains that we left out. So yeah, number 1. You wondering why Naruto was excluded from this list? Well, it wasn't. Number 1 is Donzo. Donzo is basically, okay, I know the real villain of the show is, but Donzo is one of, if not the worst characters. Donzo is basically, he is one of those characters that is responsible for everything caused in Naruto. Let's talk about, first of all, he was entirely responsible, okay? He was the one who orchestrated the Uchiha massacre. Yes. For example, everybody knows that one guy was actually the one that was behind it. But Donzo was the one that ordered it. He was the one that ordered it. He was the one that ordered all the deaths of the Uchiha. Also, when Pain was invading Hidden Rebuild, of course, Naruto couldn't come because Donzo killed the messenger Toad. Yep. And let's not forget that Donzo was the one that, delayed the Hokage's response to the Nine Tails attacking the village. So, he basically, for all of and also let's not forget, he was the one that created Pain as well. Because he teamed up with Hanzo to stop the Akatsuki, the original Akatsuki, not the one that Pain created after Donzo. But he basically, also, he was the one who made all of the pain caused by Itachi Uchiha, because Donzo forced him to kill his entire clan. Okay? And the only good thing is that he was killed by Sasuke Uchiha, because he deserved to be killed. Because all of the horrible things. This man was very selfish, and he was a hypocrite throughout the whole series. And thank God this man finally died. Okay? He is the worst character in all of Naruto. And people say, but Sakura was useless. Sakura is useless. Okay? Well, this man basically... And also, let's not forget how he ran the Anbu. He basically ran the Anbu, in very shady ways. it would have made Orochimaru, how Orochimaru ran his group, look like, a actual saint organization. Basically, Donzo is nothing but a liar and a cheater, and he's basically no better than any horrible politician we have today. He is the most unlikable villain and character in all of Naruto. He is basically he is probably not the most evil Naruto character, but he's the most unlikable Naruto character. As of course, there's Naruto characters that committed more atrocities than what Donzo has done. For example, Obito Uchiha started a whole war as well. But the fact that this man had such power in the Hidden Leaf Village is proof that before his death, the Hidden Leaf Village was very corrupt. It was very corrupt because of Donzo. Because Donzo manipulated the 3rd and 4th Hokage, and even the 5th Hokage as well. So, good thing that Donzo is dead. And also, let's not forget that Donzo killed Orochimaru Uchiha so he can steal his Sharingan to put on his arm. Yep. So he can steal all the Sharingan to put on his arm to become more powerful. So this man only cares about greed and power and is very selfish and does not give a shit about the village. But it's funny that they didn't consider Orochimaru good enough, but they considered Donzo good enough, and Donzo is no better than Orochimaru at the slightest. Even Orochimaru, when he became a good person, was still better than Donzo, and at least he became a better person and got redeemed. Donzo probably would have never got redeemed and probably would have stayed this evil man, selfish man who stayed in the shadows. He would probably even sabotage the war. And let's not forget, he survived in the Boruto era. He will probably still continue deceived and all of the Hidden Leaf Village. And I bet Naruto would put a stop to him and would have probably found out that he was the one responsible for all of the horrible for the reason why Sasuke became evil. He is the one entirely responsible for all of the horrible things Sasuke has done. So that's basically about the most hated fictional characters. And my throat is very dry, so goodbye. Okay, not most hated fictional characters. Most top 10 worst villains of all time. Sayonara. Goodbye.